What is up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
And Carrie.
What's up?
So, we're going to talk a lot about PS5 impressions later in the show. But we're first going to talk about, I guess, the games that we've primarily been playing. And Carrie's also been playing a PS5 game, but not on PS5.
No.
This week as well. I'll let you guys have the floor first and tell me all about Spider-Man Miles Morales, which you guys have been playing, which Micah has already platinumed at this point.
Yeah, I mean that's not very impressive.
It's like 50 trophies.
But
the game's like 8 hours. Like, it's not, it's not.
I mean, it's not me platinuming Astro's Playroom in one sitting on Thursday night when I got the system, but
Yeah. This will take you 2 sittings.
Yeah. Well, I've been kind of spacing it out. Because I had a friend of mine in from out of town, and I wasn't just going to be like, oh, my game came in, let me just fucking sit here and play this single player video game while you watch for a whole weekend. You
could have.
I could have, but I try to be a good host.
Oh, well, you're not like me. I'm a terrible parent.
So, I would guess about halfway through. I haven't checked the percentage in a minute, but story-wise, I just got past the point where Miles and the Tinkerer both have their masks off at each other. So
you're about halfway.
I think I figured that was about the halfway point story-wise. But I've been doing every other fucking side quest in the meantime. So I think I'm a little over leveled for where I am in the story.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
That's the life I'm also currently living in the game that I'm going to talk about when you guys are done. So.
Yeah, it's super good. It's more of everything that I loved about the first Spider-Man PS4, with all of the flair of Miles Morales that I really love from the comics and from Spider-Verse and whatnot. So, no, it's super fucking good. It's so fun. Everything about that game is satisfying. The combat is you pull off a sick combo, and I'm just I feel like I'm playing a comic book, the just swinging around Manhattan is just as fun as ever. Yes, everything about the game is very good, and I don't give a shit that it's only 8 hours of raw story, because there's so much else to do outside of that. So
it's more my favorite game ever, but black. So this is my favorite game ever. This is, like you said, is more the same but better. There was while I love the original Spider-Man, I'm playing the remastered edition currently. Miles Morales does away with a lot of bullshit that the original game had. There's a lot of padding in the original game. There's a lot of busy work in the original game. There are things to do outside of the story in Miles Morales, but one, the story is hyper focused, right? They're in the original, you get sidetracked by the Shocker for no reason. Right?
I don't know. I like fighting Shocker.
I mean, look, I like fighting the Shocker, but there's literally no point.
No, there's no point to him being there.
There was the Black Cat stuff in the base game. There was no point in trying to find all those stupid little cats all around the city through the camera lens. It was just busy work to unlock a new suit. Like Black Cat doesn't come back until the DLC. That game had a lot of just busy work in it. Whereas Miles Morales is a focused story. It's a story that is at the same time a smaller story, but that has big events happening in that small story. It's focused on Uptown, Harlem and stuff like that. And I think this game does a much better job of making New York feel alive and feel like New York and feel like a community. You know, Spider-Man is going and he's helping people that have names. Like these people have names, right? Like you go to Tails Bodega to, you know,
To
help
go
him.
get his cat.
Yeah, like like you help people, you help named characters who aren't just the generic low res NPC that's like, oh, my balloon is up there, can you get it? You know what I mean?
Right.
like it does a very good job of feeling like community. And the randomness is still there. You have random crimes and stuff like that that you have to do or you
I
should
mean, it's
do.
New York.
Right.
Crimes are happening.
Right. There's a crime happening right now to somebody listening to this. Right now. They're like, oh my God, right? But in the first game, if you were OCD and you wanted to fill out your checklist, you had to kind of wait for those crimes to pop up. Now now you can access those random crimes on command.
Yeah.
Through the Spider-Man, through the Friendly Neighborhood app, which is great. Everything about the presentation is wonderful. You could tell, you know how sometimes we're like, you might need a black person in the room if you're going to say this or tell this story, or you might need a woman on the show if you're going to talk about this. Like, yeah, they did that, right?
Yeah.
It feels like they did that. Everything from Miles's design to the fact that he has a decent haircut, to the fact that all of his swinging animations look so much better. Like they tout like, oh, Spider-Man, Miles is inexperienced in his swinging. No, he's not. He's just got style. He's got style and flair.
I mean, sometimes, you know, you take a weird hop off of something and he'll flail his arms a little bit. But it looks very natural.
It does. If you're doing a trick and you are parallel, if your body is parallel to the ground, the old Spider-Man would correct it before you hit the ground and then keep going. Whereas Miles would just
eat shit. Like
he'll fall flat on his ass.
I was surprised because like Peter doesn't eat shit at all. Peter's got sort of those cat-like reflexes by the time that his story begins, because at that point he'd been doing it for like 8 years or whatever the story is. So yeah, Peter always lands on his feet. Miles eats a lot of shit.
But it's great, man. I'm playing it in Fidelity. Well, I did both. I played the first one through in Fidelity, and then
so now you're switching. Okay.
Yeah, and then I played the second run, the second one in 60
plus.
frames per second. Yeah, the new game plus in 60 frames. 60 frames looks nice, man, but it's I'm a bit of a whore.
Look, I've seen the fidelity mode. Some videos of people doing the fidelity mode, like just having like the reflections and like the storefront windows and shit like that, and
I mean, like,
is insane.
They're one-to-one reflections for Miles and everything around him, including the NPCs at night and like interiors. It's beautiful, man. Like you see, like everybody has like a polished floor. It's amazing, right? You can see your reflection in clean cars. The cars have to be clean for you to be able to see your reflection in them. Like there are dirty cars in the street because it's snowing and stuff. But if you find a clean car, you can see your reflection in it. It's beautiful, man. And it's locked at 30. If you're locked at 30 for that game, it's fine, because that's not like a fast twitch game. You know what I mean? It's I'm perfectly fine playing that at a locked 30 with beautiful natural looking lighting. And I'm a bit of a lighting nerd. Like I do lighting for my day job, so I like looking at things when they're lit properly. Look, I don't know what else to say about this other than I absolutely love it. They have taken some of the negative things about Spider-Man PS4 and they've changed them in a positive way. Miles plays Similarly to Peter, if you want a button mash, but I think Miles is a little easier to handle from the simple fact that he can cloak his way out of danger at any point.
Yeah.
Um,
Like his venom moves are so cool to use.
They're very cool to use, but they're not necessarily. They don't necessarily impact gameplay in a way that Peter's does. Peter has a lot more variety in what he can do, especially with all of his gadgets.
Yeah, I mean, so Miles only has the 4 gadgets.
Miles has 4 gadgets.
I much prefer that, honestly. I think it streamlines the whole process, and I don't know.
No, I get it.
It's just, it's less to have to fucking think about, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, I'm gonna drop this mine over here. I'm gonna fuck up these 4 dudes because they're gonna walk over and look at it like troglodytes.
Oh, what's this? And then just not do anything with it. They just look at it like, huh, okay.
Weird. Oh, I'm on fire now. Huh.
But they play differently enough that if they were to introduce some sort of Spider-Man thing in the next proper Spider-Man game, I would be
which we all know they're going to do.
I mean, that's pretty much that's pretty much a given, right?
It's pretty much a lock.
I feel like that game, whatever Spider-Man 2 is gonna be, is gonna be ripe for like the GTA 5-esque feature where like you can switch to the other guy at any time and they could be anywhere in the world kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
that would be one. Oh my god, don't
even suggest it so that you don't get your hopes up,
right? Because I don't get my hopes up. And look, I'm only gonna pick one guy. It's Miles doesn't have a history like Peter does of different outfits, so the suits leave a little to be desired.
Some of them are cool as shit, though.
I only like maybe 4 or 5 of them. They're 19. I think I like 4 or 5 of them, and 3 of them are just the same variant of the classic suit.
Yeah, I like the 2099 suit.
I love that suit.
That's the suit I'm playing through most of the game.
I love the 2020 suit, the N 2099, and the different variants of the classic. I would like
the strike suit is kind of cool. It's a little much, but
it feels like it's a little too much. Like he's got Popeye arms and he's got like a Spawn looking mask, and it feels a bit much. And Bodega Cat is cute. But I'm not a cat guy, so I generally don't.
See, that's why I got a new Game Plus the game, so I can have the Bodega Cat suit.
But yeah, I loved it. Story is it's its own thing, but they understand that you want to know what's happening with Peter, and there's a couple of end credit scenes that remind you like, hey, this is still part of a larger world. And look, it's a must play for me. It's a must. I highly recommend this game if you like open world games. This is it, man. It's great.
So speaking of pretty good open world games, if you want to know how Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going, I started playing it Friday morning. Took off work to enjoy my PlayStation 5 for the first day. And I put in about 25 hours since then. And we're recording this on the following Tuesday. It's good, and it fixes most of the issues that I had with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Like, I wish that they had done Odyssey in this kind of style. Because they just kind of trimmed off a lot of the bullshit in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So like if you've played Origins or if you played Odyssey, it still very much feels like those games. But the way that the quest structure outside of the main quest is set up is quite a bit different. So much like in Odyssey and Origins, like you still have the different areas of the map that are gated behind, different power levels and things of that nature. In this game, you don't have a character level per se. You have more of a power level, and so like when you level up, it's not like a traditional RPG where you have to you know, you gain your first couple levels quickly, and then the experience bar gets larger and larger as you go along. You have to get the same amount of XP to level up every single time, but all that does is give you 2 stat points that you can dump into this sprawling stat tree that has mostly ability upgrades, and then like each subsection of it has, you know, like a passive ability in the middle that you can eventually upgrade to, and it gives you a lot of flexibility over whether you want to whether you want to dump points into stealth or ranged attack or melee attack. Like those are kind of the 3 branches that you can jump around in between, which you can also respec at any time for no in-game cost whatsoever. Like they really let you play around with builds as much as possible. The inventory system completely different than Odyssey. So Odyssey, you got so much shit in Odyssey that it almost felt like a looter in some ways, like half a looter with the amount of stuff that you got. In this, you actually don't get very much gear at all, but you can upgrade your gear much more in this game than you could do in Odyssey, because like each gear has 10 potential stat upgrades you can make to it, and you have to use the blacksmith to even unlock each level. Like a basic piece of gear has 2 upgrade levels, and each time you craft it with the blacksmith, that adds 2 more that you can do, which bumps the stats up. But of course those materials are really hard to come by, so you have to, like, that kind of spaces out how your build goes there. They also, each piece of armor has like rune slots too. That's kind of how you can more customize how each piece behaves. You're really encouraged to equip full sets of armor, because equipping full sets will give you more abilities and passives that armor gives you. So that's different. A lot of folks might not like that, but I think it makes collecting sets a little bit easier. Makes the visuals appeal a little bit more boring in this one than than you had in Odyssey, but it is what it is. When you do upgrade the blacksmith, it does change the look of the piece of armor kind of slightly. But the best part about Valhalla is the way the world is set up. So you have your main quest line. There's a lot of flexibility in this game in terms of how you tackle the main quest, because it branches off a lot at certain points. But what I really appreciate, as someone that hates getting bogged down into open world stuff, is how the side stuff is structured. So I avoided side quests in Odyssey a lot, and I do in a lot of open world games, because I just don't want to get bogged down into a quest chain that's distracting me from the main quest. Like if you have a side quest that's like 3 or 4 missions, I hate getting like trapped in that, and I hate that my quest log gets bloated as fuck, and like just from an aesthetic thing that annoys me. Well, in Odyssey, you have 3 types of side quests. You have mysteries, you have wealth, and you have artifacts. And they show up as little nodes on your map, basically. And you can, basically when you synchronize in an area like you do in Assassin's Creed, it shows you where those things are in your general vicinity. Then you can go get them. Wealth is great because it's a treasure chest that you're trying to find, and that will either get you a new piece of gear, which, as I mentioned, gear's at a premium in this game, or it gets you a knowledge book, which is how you get your skills, basically, like your special attacks and things of that nature. So those are cool for that reason. Artifacts are like the little tchotchkes that you just pick up along the way, mostly for helping build up your settlement and things of that nature. But the mysteries are the best part, because these are the side stories, and they are like very bite-sized compared to typical side quests. Like a mystery might last, 10 minutes. You might have to go to a couple different areas, but nothing crazy. Or it might last like 5 seconds. Like it might just be like a interesting conversation that you have with an NPC, just to kind of flesh out the world building. And the stories that are told in those mysteries are really fun. Like they do a lot with a little. This game also has a weird obsession with flatulence. Like I've had 2 mysteries that have been focused around farting for some reason.
Yo.
Like I kept having to find snake eggs for this woman who was trapped in like a cell, and I kept feeding her eggs, then she farted, and there was like toxic farts all over the place.
Great.
Yeah, like I said, Assassin's Creed is a wild game.
High quality gameplay.
Yeah.
That's what you want in your stories.
Yeah.
Poots.
It's got the it kind of mimics the Cult of the Cosmos system that Odyssey had, but it's not nearly as big as that was. It's a lot more manageable. It has the nemesis system in the game, but again, much more streamlined. Like, it's not like there's 100 nemesis dudes that you're going to have to cleave through in this one. Like, it just seems like they took Odyssey and just kind of streamlined it down.
That's good, man, because
yeah.
I want to play this because Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I love it. It might be my favorite Assassin's Creed, except for the fact that it's just too damn big.
Yeah.
Like and it's overwhelming, and I'm paralyzed by all the choices. So it's I'm glad that this is a little more focused. You know what I mean?
It feels less bloated. Like, there are no real side quest chains so far that I've encountered. The closest thing that you get, and I won't go into this because it's kind of spoilery, they do interesting things with Norse myths, much like the DLCs in Assassin's Creed Odyssey did, but not so much the main story. So like I said, I'll leave that to discover for folks that play it, but it's pretty cool. Some of the things they do with Norse mythology in the game. It's really good so far. I'm looking forward to playing more. I plan on finishing this one. I hope I can do it before Cyberpunk comes out, because I fear that if I put it down for Cyberpunk, then I'm not going to pick it back up again. But it's good. It's good so far. The story is not as strong as Odyssey's, but most of the characters are much more likable. So even though the story's been kind of boilerplate-ish so far, like, literally, I'm 25 hours in, and the story's just, hey, we had to go to England for this reason, which I'm not going to say, and we're trying to build up our settlement. And to build up our settlement, we're helping folks, in the surrounding kingdoms and stuff like that.
Ain't nothing wrong with a boilerplate story as long as it's told well.
Yeah, and supposedly, like, it gets cooler later, but it's taking a long time to ramp that up. But like I said, it's forgiven by the fact that the characters that I am encountering in the world throughout the main quest are pretty cool, and they're fun. There's also a dice game in the game called Orlog, which I'm playing far too much of, which I'm probably sinking way too much time in. Think of it's like a dice game version of Gwent, essentially.
Of course.
And
of
it's
course.
and it's good. it's pretty good for what it is.
That's what they said they wanted Odyssey to be. They're like, well, The Witcher's doing well.
Yeah.
Let's just make that.
I mean, that's what it is now, essentially, at this point, for all intents and purposes. The only thing that I will say, combat feels easy in this game, much more than Odyssey did. Not that Odyssey was super hard by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't feel too challenged by the combat in this game, because you're kind of a badass, because you're a fucking Viking. And also bows, much like in Odyssey, are ridiculously overpowered in this game as well. Like I could take out entire encampments from range without being spotted, pretty much. So, but again, it's been fun. I'll be playing it more. It's pretty much all I've been playing on PS5, but more on PS5 stuff later in the show.
I look forward to buying that game at $40.
Yeah, well, I mean, if Watch Dogs any indication, you won't have to wait long. So we'll see about that. New releases this week, coming out on the 17th. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends. The Baron is back on PS4 and Nintendo Switch. 5 dates comes to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Fortnite, the Last Laugh bundle. That shouldn't even be on this list. That comes out on Fortnite. The new Hearthstone expansion, Madness at the Dark Moon Fair, comes out on PC and mobile November 17th. Mars Horizon, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Edition. This is, by my count, the 4th edition of Mortal Kombat 11 to come out.
Sure.
PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Stadia.
It probably won't be the last. They have 37 characters.
Oh my God.
37 is a very odd number.
It is. There's room for 3 more.
Yep.
So, Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle comes to Google Stadia. Truck Driver comes to Switch. Pure Pool comes to Switch. Monster Truck Championship comes to Switch. Poker Club comes to PS5 and Xbox Series X. The PS5 gets released everywhere this week that it was not released last week, assuming you can get your hands on one. Hyrule Warriors comes out Friday for the Switch.
Hell yeah.
Dynasty Reroll comes to PS4 and Xbox One. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin comes to PS4 and Switch. And the Skylia Prophecy comes to the Nintendo Switch.
Wow. I'll be getting Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm gonna play the shit out of it. That's how that's gonna go.
Well, so what I'm curious with Hyrule Warriors is I'm curious if we're gonna see a Halo Wars situation on a small degree, where there's a lot of people that are like casual players that played Breath of the Wild that are just seeing this being advertised as the prequel to Breath of the Wild, and they're gonna pick it up and be like, "This isn't the Zelda game."
I don't know. I feel like Nintendo's done a pretty good job at highlighting the gameplay as far as trailers and commercials are concerned. And I mean, they did release a demo for it like 2 weeks ago or whenever. So,
isn't this the second Hyrule Warriors game?
Yes,
it is. And I feel like what you're saying is correct, but I think you underestimate.
Oh no, people are fucking stupid.
Of the general public.
Oh no. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be on the same scale as Halo Wars, because like I don't even think I was working at GameStop when that came out, but
No.
even I heard of the numerous stories of people buying Halo Wars and being like, "Bro, this isn't Halo."
We warned people at the point of purchase when that game came out, and we still had people buy it, and we still had people come back like 2 days later and be like, "This isn't Halo." I'm like, "We tried to tell you."
Sucks to be you.
Yeah.
Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe, and then click the bell to be notified of when this show goes up. You can subscribe to all of the TMP Studios podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast, with a valiant return of Andy this week. Go to densepixels.com/premium for $5 a month or $50 a year. You get access to the premium slate of podcasts, including the Airing of Grievances, the Seinfeld podcast, No Time to Bleed, the action movie review show, The Men with the Golden Tongues, the James Bond spy movie review show, Upstage Conversations, the how would you categorize your show?
A movie musicals podcast.
A movie musicals podcast, and the full episode of the Look Forward Political podcast. Look, they came in and they Jay and Andy on that show, and I always talk about this show because I really enjoy it. It's the if there are two pillars on which the premium show, the premium content is held upon, it is the Look Forward Political podcast and the Men with the Golden Tongues.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
I mean, we have a 5-year backlog on Men with the Golden Tongues of shows.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You gotta. You know.
I'm just saying.
And I will say for you folks out there, so Podbean fucked up their app like hardcore in terms of listening to premium content. So the premium shows are best listened to through a web browser right now.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend going to just Googling TNP Premium if you are subscribed, logging in with your Podbean account and just listening through the web browser, because Podbean wants golden beans. They want golden beans from you to listen to premium shows. So
they can get out of here with that. They really can.
We're gonna blow through these quick hit news because there's not a ton of crazy stuff in here. FIFA 21 is going to soon let you track and set limits on how many FIFA points you buy from the in-game store.
Good.
Because people cannot help themselves. EA is going to put the bare minimum.
I feel like every game should have this. Every game that has like a loot box kind of system to it should have this. I mean, I play fucking Pokemon Masters on my phone, and I play very casually. I do not spend any of my actual money on that game. But even that has a fucking like, hey, do you want to set a limit for yourself? Mm-hmm. Like, do you want to make sure you're not spending $50 to collect all the fucking Pokemon in this game?
I would prefer, instead of them letting you set your own limits, they just like chastise you, like, bruh, like you've already spent $50 on fucking FIFA points. Like, you really want to spend more?
Yeah. That's the right answer, because if you really want to spend that money,
you're going to spend
your limit. You're just going to raise your limit,
right?
Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Oh, I can spend $5 more.
Right, exactly.
And then you spent $5 more 5 more times, and
right, like it is the bare minimum of what you can do. They need to have limits for how much you can purchase in a day.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
not going to do that.
Right.
No. No.
They're like,
they
look,
won't
if
do
people
that.
want to help themselves, like we'll put the tools in place. You expect us to be proactive and stopping people from throwing money at us? Like you're out of
No.
I feel like for EA especially, this is just trying to get in the good graces of a lot of European governments as they're getting cracked down on quite a bit overseas.
Yeah.
In terms of spending habits by people. I'm glad it's there. I'm glad parents can also use this as a tool for their kids. Like parents are gonna fucking learn how to use this.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I need the condescending in-game message to pop up that like that has the forced delay that you have to sit there and read it for 10 seconds before it allows you to dismiss it, that kind of thing. But good on EA for doing, again, the bare minimum that they can do to fix this. PS5 errors have been relatively mild this first week, which is always a good sign. So have Series X errors, for that matter. The biggest one that's affecting some PS5 users is the queued for download errors. So some games, sometimes a game will, when you go to start it up, will show as being queued for download, even though there's nothing in your download queue and the game is on the console. Unfortunately, there's no way to get around the error other than to factory reset your entire console and re-download everything that you had on there before. Again, it seems to be pretty rare. It's the one to look out for. They did just put out a firmware update today, actually, for the PS5. No word from Sony on what it is doing. It's the famous Sony stability fixes kind of thing,
right?
But hopefully,
I can tell you what I'll tell you later what I think it did when we start reviewing
good
PlayStation 5.
There you go. But that's been the biggest one. A lot of folks have been talking about errors that I think mentioned last week of importing data from an external hard drive bricking the console. Again, I think that was more of an isolated incident. There's a lot of folks getting freaked out about that, I feel, erroneously. So that's something to look out for, though, if you do have a PS5, and that's the fix. If you get that error, factory reset time, baby. The Neo Collection is coming to PS5 next February. It's going to have remastered editions of both games featuring 4K and up to 120 FPS support. Micah, does Neo need 120 FPS?
No, you're fighting one enemy at a time. Get out of here. No, it really doesn't. I wanted to like these games, but then I found out what type of games they were after I bought it. First one. And it's one of those like super hard games where it's like, one enemy will kill you in one hit unless you are perfect at everything you do. And I'm just like, I can't. the weeb in me is very conflicted because I see a bunch of Asian stuff. But
I feel like those games were like, when they made them, they're just like, man, we really like the Souls games, but they're just too easy. Let's make something that'll really be challenging for folks. So that's cool. If you like Neo and you want to play them at the smoothest possible resolution that you can, and you happen to own a HDMI 2.1 display, right, you can do that. So congratulations. So we've gotten the smallest inkling of Microsoft's plans with Bethesda's games now that they've acquired the studio. Tim Stewart, who's the CFO of Xbox, was talking at the Jefferies Interactive Entertainment Virtual Conference. He said, basically, quote, that Microsoft has no intention of just pulling all of Bethesda content out of Sony or Nintendo or anywhere else. Instead, when we think about Bethesda, we'll continue to sell their games on the platforms that they exist today, and we'll determine what that looks like over time, and will change over time. But I'm not making any exclusivity announcements. Instead, he said what they are aiming to do is to make sure that those Bethesda games in the long run either come out on Xbox platforms first or are better and best on Xbox platforms compared to PlayStation and Nintendo.
That's kind of what I had figured. I didn't think that Microsoft was going to pull out of Bethesda's Sony and Nintendo partnerships 100%. I did not think that was ever going to happen. But I do, I anticipate the Series X and the PC version of the games that Bethesda puts out to ostensibly be the best versions of these games, whether that be graphically or content-wise or whatever. I'm a PC gamer first and foremost these days, so I ain't got nothing to worry about.
Probably didn't affect you either which way.
No.
In that case.
I'm still going to end up with the best version of the game.
And like I said, hypothetically, let's say we have to wait a year on PlayStation to play Bethesda's games. Considering Bethesda's track record, waiting a year to play those games might not be a terrible idea.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I love Bethesda. I love Bethesda, but let's be real. Those games
they're more like Bethesda at this point.
You're not wrong.
Bugthesda.
There you go. But
look,
hey,
look. I'm gonna play these games when they come out. I'm itching for more Elder Scrolls 6 content at this point. I know it's going to be 2 years before I get it.
I don't know. I feel like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to get like Fallout 4 on top of us. Like in E3 and like next year, they're going to be like, hey, we got Elder Scrolls 6 and it's coming out in 3 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like it's probably that's going to be what happens with it.
It wouldn't surprise me if that's how they sort of approach their mainline franchises from here on out. But look, at the same time, I'm just as likely as anyone else in Maryland to run into Todd Howard at the grocery store, and I'll just fucking shake him until he tells me what that game's going to be about.
I mean, there's a ton of Tamriel areas that they have yet to explore in any of the main
also true
franchise games, so it could be anything. There's a weird situation that happened at Ubisoft Montreal offices last Friday, where police and SWAT were called in as a part of a potential hostage situation. Like they had like Ubisoft folks like on the roof, like it was Die Hard or something. And following it on Twitter was kind of bizarre. And the police came in and they checked it out. They investigated.
There was nothing.
It was nothing. Like it was literally nothing. Basically, what happened is that a call came in saying at 1 p.m. saying that they were going to blow up the building if they were not paid a ransom of more than $2 million. And then I guess everyone rightfully freaked the fuck out.
Sure.
So that was a little crazy.
Dollars in Canada?
$2 million.
Well, yeah, not clear if it was 2 million Canadian, which would be much worse if that was the case.
I mean, 2 million loonies.
2 million Canadian dollary dudes is about 1.5 American real money bucks.
Yeah.
Bison dollars.
So fortunately, no one was hurt. Just a lot of scared folks and a really weird Friday on social media.
Yep.
And then finally, a lot of Twitch streamers being big babies about something that Twitch really doesn't have much control over. So Twitch sent out a notice to all of their creators, basically saying, hey, DMCA wasn't a big deal for a long time, and then it became a very big deal overnight in the summer, and that's why we had to take a whole bunch of archive videos down.
Yeah,
getting inundated with copyright claims, and we're going to take that shit pretty seriously going forward. So just don't have copyright, royalty music in the background of your streams, and we won't have to do anything to them. And a lot of folks are upset about this. And apparently it's because the moderation is very heavy-handed. Some players said, that like a clock chime or
like it's very strange, like what is getting flagged and what isn't. It suddenly went, like, as you said, really, really heavy-handed, like kind of overnight over the summer. So yeah, some people are being kind of babies about it. I think it's kind of funny in its own way that some people are just like, okay, cool, I'm just going to mute all the in-game audio and go pew 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 when I shoot at things. Like, I mean, it's a way to get around DCMA.
Sure is.
Or DMCA issues. The thing that gets me about this is Twitch has had for the last year or so this like karaoke program called Twitch Sings, right? I haven't seen many people use it, but presumably the songs that you can do on Twitch Sings were things that Twitch had like like no issue using, right? But apparently if you sing too well on Twitch Sings, it'll fucking mute your audio.
Wow.
Which is fun. Like, it's so stupid, right? Like, do karaoke, but you know, be like a little off key about it.
Right.
Do karaoke, but you have to be bad at it. You
Now,
know, like real karaoke.
I think Twitch could go a long way by having some way to contest when your stuff's getting flagged, much like YouTube does, where you can, you know, file a protest of some sort.
Yeah.
It's going to require a lot more manpower for them to be able to evaluate those things, though. It's a tough situation for all involved. The form of protest that a lot of folks are turning to is interesting, and original, I'll say, to say the least.
Yeah.
It seems a little.
It's like the dude who's like, I'm gonna play Rocksmith in complete silence. Like,
right.
You know.
I thought the Resident Evil guy was funny. Just making zombie noises and trying to say what the characters are saying. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your quick news for the week.
What was I going to say? I thought of something earlier that I would do for this read, but I can't remember it. So just go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases, because when you do that, you help out the show, and more importantly, you help out Amazon, and they need all the help they can get right now. So go to www.densepixels.com/Amazon.
So Mike and I have now had the PlayStation 5 for a shade under a week. Have you even turned on your Series X since we last potted on Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I do I do enjoy Yakuza, and I put and Tetris Connect I do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna start seeing what some of the older games look like on the new drive. So I'm spending time, you know, moving things from an external to the Xbox. And honestly, that's the only reason I haven't bought Valhalla yet, is because Yakuza is going to take some time.
Yeah. And honestly, like you should play Valhalla on the Xbox. It's the only version that has native 4K and 60 FPS. Like the PlayStation version's up-res, which looks fine, but since you have the option.
Okay.
So let me tell you something. So this Thursday night after work, go to the local haberdashery, picked up my system, hooked it up, wrestled trying to get it to work with the Elgato for like an hour. Apparently HDR not working so great with the Elgato with PS5, so I'll worry about that later. Just hooked it up directly to the TV because I was like, let's do this. I want to get playing. So I picked up this dude, you know, fiddle fucked around with the awesome DualSense controller, and fired up Astro's Playroom. And the first thing that you do in that game is they kind of walk you through the different thing that the controller can do. And I was, you know, tapping buttons, messing around, this, that, or the other thing. So they have a jetpack on the screen, right? Or they have a picture of your controller, and it's like press the trigger down. And so I pressed the trigger, and it only went in like a quarter of the way before it stopped. And I'm just like, that's weird. Like, I was definitely able to press it harder before. Like, why is it stopping? Like my brain forgot that the triggers work the way they do. I literally had to give it some oomph on the trigger to get it to press in all the way to activate, and all of a sudden, like, sparks start flying out of the controller on the screen. And obviously, like, you could feel that feedback, that haptic in the trigger as well. And that for me was just like a holy shit, like cool moment. Like, it's one thing to hear people talk about the adaptive triggers. It's quite another to literally, again, pressing your trigger in with the amount of force that you normally would, and to literally get like resistance where it will go no further, and you actually have to fucking put some torque on that bad boy to get it to work. That is what Astro's Playroom pretty much is basically a feature reel for the DualSense controller. And I got to tell you guys something. If third-party manufacturers get behind it, because I know that Sony obviously will, but if third parties develop for this thing the way that they should, this is the most next generation part of the PS5 and of any console that I've seen to date so far is this controller.
I'm usually not a Rumble person. I can take it or leave it, but it's pretty impressive. I only played one level of Astro's Playroom because priorities.
Oh, that's a shame. Because dude, say what you're gonna say, but then I'm gonna gush about Astros for a little bit because that game has no right being as good as it is.
So obviously Spider-Man is the first game I played. And you start Miles Morales on a subway train, and that's the title screen, and then you hit the X button to go, and then you hear a very slight rumble, and then the controller is mimicking what the subway is doing while it's going on the tracks, right? So you feel each time your car is going over particular tracks. So it's a slight rumble, then it's like a slight rumble, and boom, 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 and until the thing comes to a stop. When you are swinging, you have to depress the thing, not necessarily all the way down, but you have to get it pretty far down, and then you hear the thwip come out of the controller. And with some of the gadgets, like I was playing the remastered Spider-Man, some of the gadgets, one of the gadgets is like a little spider drone that you have on the ground. You can feel the difference between a sidewalk versus grass, and I was pretty impressed with it. Playing Astros for that one level, just to see everything that it can do.
Which level was it that you played?
The forest level, the jungle level.
Okay.
And it's pretty impressive, man. Like I was worried about battery life, because when I first got this thing, I'm playing it, and the battery life was fine, but it wasn't charging, and it wasn't doing that for a couple of days. And I was all ready to come up on here and be like, I was shitting on Xbox for using regular ass batteries. At least those batteries don't die on me in one day. But no, like the thing that they sent out today, the firmware update they sent out today, I think fixed that. Because I was only getting 1 bar, and I couldn't, like, I had to leave it plugged up to play it. Otherwise I couldn't use the controller. So
did you update the controller? Did you update the controller?
I whatever you have to do when you first start it up, that's what I did.
I don't think you did yet, because I think if you leave it plugged in, it'll prompt you to actually do like a firmware update.
All right, I'll do that.
I don't know
but it's fixed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very impressed with this controller. It's I just wish it wasn't white.
Yeah, I mean, priorities.
But
it does.
Yeah.
It's not, now that I have it in hand, it's still like the two-tone nature looks even weirder in person. Like it looks like they literally clamped a white shell over top of the black controller. Like that's how it feels. It looks.
Yeah.
To me, which is
yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's gonna really depend on game makers. So like Valhalla does not have like the adaptive triggers. They don't have anything like that. It's just the typical rumble that you would get. I downloaded Borderlands 3 because they have the PS5 upgrade that lets you play at 4K 60. And that very much uses the adaptive triggers. Like every weapon feels different when you're firing it in the triggers as well, which is pretty fucking dope too. Apparently Call of Duty does the same thing as well. So yeah, there's going to be developers that do really well with it and developers that don't. And we will very quickly see who those are going to be. I will say that if it's a game that's also coming out and has been in development for the old consoles, I'm not expecting a whole lot in terms of the adapter triggers. I think we'll have to wait till we get later in the generation to really see the fruits there. Look, Astro's Playroom is a tech demo. It is the best tech demo that has ever existed. Someone online said it is the most Nintendo game that exists, and Shigeru Miyamoto is going to be pissed off that he didn't develop it.
I immediately thought it's a Mario game, dude. It's a 3D Mario game, and
Very small, but still a 3D Mario game.
Right, like you're collecting coins, you're punching things that look kind of mushroom, kind of Goomba like. It's a Mario game, and it's a tech demo. Like you said, it's the best tech demo you'll ever see. And I was hyper impressed with the controller playing that.
Yeah.
I hope that developers actually do something with it, because it's worth it.
Now, putting the controller aside, if you are a fan of PlayStation, like if you were just a fan of the Sony PlayStation brand and have owned PlayStations for 30 years now, or 25 years now,
25
that they've been around, play that game and platinum that game. Seriously, like you owe it to yourself to do it. There is so much like fan service, nostalgia, all sorts of fun, like PlayStation centric stuff in that game. Like as you go through the worlds, you see like little like Astros that are filming, and every Astro, when you see an Astro with a camera in his hand, look around for the other Astros near him, because they're basically like trying to reenact a scene from a PlayStation game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they run the entire fucking gamut. Like the entire gamut of PlayStation, like to from the most popular titles like God of War that you would expect, to the most obscure shit from the PlayStation 1 era that you have to be like a hardcore Sony person to understand what it's in reference to. They have little collectibles in each stage that are like relics that you can get, or I think relics or artifacts, I can't remember what they call them. But those are all like pieces of PlayStation equipment throughout history, and like each stage is themed around one generation of PlayStation. The final boss of the game is the deepest fucking cut that I've ever seen in my entire life.
I looked it up. It's really fucking cool.
It is a deep fucking cut that like 10% of the people playing will appreciate, but it's an amazing fucking throwback for those 10% of people that are in the game. I platinumed the game in like 3 hours. It is not hard to do if you're thorough when you're going through, but do it, because if you're a PlayStation fan, this game was catching me in my feels, as the kids like to say.
Wow.
Throughout, and there's a gacha machine too, Carrie. It's the most.
Oh, good.
It's the most agreeable gacha
Great.
In the entire world, because they don't bilk you for actual money that you throw at it to try to get shit. So yeah, Astros is pretty cool. So the UI. So I at the same time chastise but understand why Microsoft kept literally the same user interface for the new series consoles that came out. And that's because the PlayStation UI is in some ways an improvement, and in many ways a step back from where they were PS4. Most of it is just me being used to shit being in a certain place, and it's not in that place anymore. Yeah. So I have a feeling that as time goes on, I will get used to it. I still hate the fact that to turn the system off, it's no longer a long press to pull up your little sidebar, and it's right there. You have to press the button once to get your little pop-up menu that pops up at the bottom of the screen. Go all the way to the right on that menu to the power menu, and then turn it off from there.
And it's
I
the only
don't
way to
love that.
do it. It's the
Yeah.
only way to do it in any mode that you're in, right? Like you could be on, I don't even know what they call it. Like, I'm just going to call it a dashboard,
Yeah,
right? Where
I think it is called the dashboard, actually.
you could be on the dashboard, but you still have to like press that button to move it over. And it's, I don't like change.
Yeah.
I don't like drastic change. You know, like we've spent the last 7 years holding the logo button to turn off, you know,
Or
your
just to pull up your menu. Like now, if you hold
right,
the button, it kicks you back out
right. It kicks
to
you.
the main, to the main screen.
Yeah, like it feels like it's just it feels like it's doing too much to me. And you know, there's a certain simplicity about the way the Xbox has,
Yeah.
you know, like you said last week, they've been iterating on this thing since they got into the video game business, and they finally found one that everyone seems to like, that makes the most sense.
Mhm.
And I appreciate that a little more than this. But at the same time, it doesn't feel new.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it
Well,
doesn't.
like the PlayStation also has stuff that's dumb just for the sake of being like it's dumb for no reason. Like to add a friend to your friends list on PS5, you don't go to the friends list menu, or you don't, or sorry, there's not even a friends list menu anymore. It's the game base now. Like that's where your friends list is, inside the game base with all your fucking parties, or under your PlayStation profile. Like that's how you get to your, or no, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my profile right now. That's not even how you get to your fucking friends list. It's in the game base. To add a friend though, you don't go to the game base. You go to search, and you search for their PlayStation handle, which again doesn't make a lot of sense. And search is all the way on the main menu. Like you have to literally get out of a game in order to do it. Trophies are a mixed bag. Like I appreciate the fact that they've added some features that Microsoft has had forever,
Yeah.
where they actually, like in PS5 games, they will show you like how far progressed you are to earning a trophy, for example. I don't like the cards view though for trophies. Like I much prefer the list. It's also a pain in the ass to view the information for hidden trophies as well. Like that's just a small minor thing, and trophies are, you know, doesn't even matter, but it matters to me, damn it. I
Yeah.
fucking love my trophies. Yeah, just a lot of shit that's dumb for the sake of being dumb. Now, that being said, I do really like the look of the UI. I like how clean it looks. I like how the screen is reserved for information to be displayed, not taken up by boxes, essentially like it's Netflix. The store integrations are pretty great as far as how they integrate the PlayStation Store into the experience, and it's a much more pleasurable app to browse nowadays, the PlayStation Store is, compared to what it was on the PS4.
I'm having a little bit of trouble navigating that store though.
I understand. It's almost like they really want you to use the PlayStation app for a lot of stuff. Like some of that stuff is just easier on the PlayStation app than it is on the PS4 system itself.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just yeah. It's. I mean, it's just going to take getting used to.
Right.
But you know, the other system, I don't have to get used to it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like it's just like dumb shit that they can fix through firmware updates. Like since there's no digital audio out now, you can't split audio between HDMI and USB. Like you have to pick one or the other. For streaming, that's an enormous pain in the ass, because now you have to find like a workaround situation. You either have to run the audio from your headset to your stream deck, or or plug your headset into some, you know, lesser audio device, like the controller, as opposed to using my sweet like super amp that I have for my Turtle Beach headset. That's a very particular issue, but it's still an issue nonetheless. Yeah, just like I said, small dumb things that I'm sure they'll fix in firmware, but I really wish that they had thought it out all the way through, and not taken some PS4 features away into the mix. So, like I said, UI, bit of a mixed bag. The system is pretty great in terms of how it runs. Is like Micah said, the Xbox Series X was super quiet last week. Same deal with this one as well. If you do have to put a disc in, the disc drive itself is very loud. But once it's running off of the hard drive, it's whisper quiet. It's no bother at all.
Nice, because I'm still playing on an original PlayStation 4,
Yeah,
and that sounds like a jet engine.
Yeah. I will also say that the PS5 is again, to use the modern parlance, a thick boy, as they say.
Yo, this thing is ridiculous, man. This thing is ridiculous.
Big
Like
boy.
it's like, look at it standing next to the Xbox.
Yo, I didn't realize it was bigger. I didn't realize it was bigger than the Series X. Yo, what the fuck?
It's
Yeah,
huge.
man.
It weighs like 15 pounds. So
yeah, man, it's really big.
So
and
before I
cumbersome.
get my PlayStation 5, not only do I need to get a new, nicer television that I can like actually appreciate the
remind me
upgrades
to
on,
talk about that.
but I also need to get a new media center to actually fit the goddamn console.
or just reinforce the one you have.
Well, what I have
Maybe-
is a fucking like $20 piece of shit I got at Target 8 years ago. I'm buying a
Yeah,
new media center.
Yeah, you might need a new one, and you can't like you might have to spend a little money to make sure that it's sturdy. Because good lord, man,
We're gonna have to
Um,
reinforce
the-
that plywood.
the base is kind of weird. Like I don't like the way like the base just kind of sits there.
Yeah.
Like like I thought it would hook onto the back somehow.
Well,
like if you
screwed
laid
it
it.
in, right? You didn't screw in the base. You didn't read.
Oh, I did screw in the
directions.
base. I did screw in the base. I did, yeah, because I read the directions and I was like, yo, I just spent $500 on this thing.
I was saying,
I'm
you
not
didn't
gonna
screw in the
break
base. It's like you were playing a dangerous game.
Right. I got
fall off of the base.
a damn near 2-year-old just running around like, nah, yo. But it just, I don't know. It feels
Well, the clips are for when you're using it horizontally, because you can't
Yeah.
screw it into the system when it's horizontal. So the clips are there to reinforce that. You don't really need that if it's standing upright.
I'm never putting it horizontal. Then it just doesn't feel safe to me. But these two systems are. I imagine this is what PC gamers have experienced all this time. They get you in games quickly, man.
Oh, it's so fast. Oh
And-
my god. So there's two I'm going to talk about. So Valhalla, I don't have any direct comparison to any other version of the game, but from pressing play to being in the game doing shit, I timed it. It's 25 seconds. And fast traveling from one area to another in the game, which in Odyssey took a considerable amount of time, even running from an external hard drive, is like 7 seconds. Like it's insane how quick things load.
Like
I saw a tweet today that was like, sorry I didn't respond to your text. Video game loading screens are short as shit now.
yo, like, but for real though.
Well, but so here's a direct comparison. So Borderlands 3, the claptrap loading screen that you get when you boot the game up
Oh yeah,
on
that took a long
PS5,
time.
there's not even a loading bar. That's how fast it is. Like claptrap doodads his way across the screen. It takes like 10 seconds. I had to go back to my PS4 version of Borderlands because I had to upload my save file so that I could pull it down on the PS5 version. And I was playing it on my PS4 Pro. Now it was running from the internal memory, not from the external drive, because that's hooked up to my PS5. Off of the internal memory, that same loading screen, literally, I'm not shitting you, took over a minute to fucking load.
I remember that loading screen.
Yeah.
Man. Jesus Christ. With the Spider-Man games, like you like I can use fast travel now because before it would be faster to just swing across than it would be to use fast travel.
It
Now-
was like when I was playing it on my PS4, again, an original PlayStation 4, it was like you unlock fast travel. I was like, that's neat.
Right. Like,
I ain't ever gonna use that.
Right, I'm good. I can just swing. Like now, I actually use fast travel. Like when I
I have some issues playing Miles where like I'm going too fast and like it kind of stops me for a second. It's like, yo, we gotta load this area. Fucking calm down.
it's yeah. I fast travel is actually fast now. Like to the point where my muscle memory is still like, okay, press a button, and then pick up my phone to check something. And no, it's there. I was like, oh, okay, it's there.
I broke myself of that habit once I got an external playing Destiny on PS4. when it loaded into the tower in like 10 seconds as opposed to 45.
It's to the point where there's an option in I know it's in the remastered Spider-Man. I don't know if it's in Miles Morales, but there's an option because when you fast travel in Spider-Man games, you see Spider-Man on the subway and he's doing something wacky, right?
He's doing like a backflip or some shit.
Yeah. But there's no need to on these systems. So there's an option that if you miss that for some reason, the fast travel like loading screen, you can turn it on even though you don't need to. Like it's weird, man. I'm not. Same thing with the Xbox, man. The Xbox, you get into a game, even an old game, you get into a game, and you're just there, and I love it. I was playing Halo Reach yesterday. I was like, wow, like this is the best this game has ever looked. And I'm very impressed with the speed in which you can get into games. Look, I don't know if it's these new systems, or I don't know if it's if it's the fact that I'm finally playing on a TV that's kind of halfway decent, but HDR is amazing. And like the colors just pop.
It's like I said, I'm really so. Like I said, the Elgato right now won't allow HDR to pass through on PS5, which is really unfortunate, because it's supposed to be able to do that. So like right now, I'm just like, well, I'm not streaming because I'm not gonna have HDR on.
Yeah, man.
So
like I'm playing Spider-Man, and there's an option to turn HDR on and off in game, and you see the results immediately. And it's just like, yo, what the like? It's like putting on a pair of glasses. Like it's just so beautiful, and colors just like the reds are ruby red and the blues are ocean blue. Like it's amazing, man. It's amazing. That's one of the reasons I'm playing in fidelity mode with these Spider-Man games. Like I get it, right? Like, but this ain't no fast twitch game. Like I want to see some beautiful ass shit. My wife came in here the other day and she was just like, "Is that the game?" I was like, yeah. Yeah, that's the game. Yeah. Who's the sucker now?
You still. It's still you. Micah, it's always going to be you.
You're right.
I do really wish PS5 had the fast switch feature, though. I will say that's something I think I would really appreciate.
It's actually really like, you think you won't use it, but you really will use it. And it is something that, like, if I get frustrated or something, or if I just want to play like a quick competitive Tetris Connect match, right? Like if I'm getting tired of Yakuza for whatever reason, because Yakuza is a lot of sitting and reading, right? Like if I get tired of that and I just want to play something, I'll just quickly switch to Tetris Connect, and it's right there. And it doesn't take, it's not as instant as I thought it would be, but that's just me being hard on it. Like it's right there where you left off. It's pretty amazing. Like the PS5 has a switcher, but it's only like the last two games. And it doesn't
keep the state if you switch out of it.
Right. It's
rebooting it essentially. So
right. It's just keeping the games that you most recently played, and then it'll reboot the game. So it's not the same. I thought I wouldn't use that feature, but I actually do. Just like it's like the rumble feature in the controller. Like I thought I wouldn't be impressed with it, but I am. Same thing with the quick resume. I thought I wouldn't be impressed with it, but I actually am. And it's funny, like I can do that from Yakuza to like Tetris, but I can't do it the other way. Like if I load out of Yakuza and quick resume into like an Xbox game, that's fine, but I can't like quick resume back into Yakuza. But that's neither here nor there. Like, yeah, I'm happy, man. Like, but at the same time, like, we're gushing over these systems. If you don't feel bad if you wanted one but can't get one right now, like all the games that we're playing, you can play on your regular systems or PCs.
Yeah, that's why I was in no rush to get one. Miles would have been the only thing that I think would have made me want to buy one at launch, but it's available on PlayStation 4. And I'm not hardly having any problems with it running, so
yeah. And like I said, it's there that's the one thing, is there's just not enough new games specific to those consoles or that really benefit from those consoles that much yet to play. There's like, it seems like there's one game for everyone at least out there. Like Call of Duty's out there if you want to play Call of Duty, and Assassin's Creed and everything.
Demon Souls.
Oh, apparently Demon Souls is great. It's just that no one on this show is gonna be playing it anymore.
No. I'm sure, I will eventually get a PlayStation 5, and I'm sure my husband will eventually play Demon Souls, but not me.
No.
No, I don't like things that are hard. Demon Souls seems very hard.
Well, like I said, looks good.
It does look good. Looks fantastic. I'm not going to play it, but I'm happy for the people who are.
We'll go to the post office, where you can submit your questions every week by going to densepixels.com/fans and joining our fan group. Start with Trey. Trey asks, has anyone on the pod captured stuff with the PS5 or Xbox One double SX? Has it made capturing high quality gameplay easier than getting a high-end PC capture card? No different, I don't think, than it was on the last generation of consoles. It looks pretty. Again, every game needs a photo mode in this generation. Like Assassin's Creed has one, and it's incredible.
The Spider-Man photo mode is amazing, and they've unified them between the two games, and it was always pretty good, but now, just to show off all the lighting, you can add different light sources to the photo to highlight certain things, and it goddamn.
Yeah, it's pretty good though. Like I said, I haven't ripped off anything really cool yet to put out there. The only video gameplay I've captured is Ivar getting thrown off of a 200-foot tower in Assassin's Creed and surviving. So that was cool. But yeah, no, it's no different than it was on the other consoles to do it. About the same. Johnny says, who has got the best mac and cheese recipe? I feel like that you're always going to be partial to your home mac and cheese when it comes to mac.
Are you asking who has the best mac and cheese recipe among the three of us?
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, it's so easy to make good mac and cheese.
And yet
people fuck it up constantly, and I don't understand why or how.
I don't know how to do it.
All right, so you go to the store and you get your good elbow pasta, right? And you cook the pasta on its own.
For a second, I thought you were about to say you go to the store and you get the box, and I was
you don't get the box.
Get the fuck out of here, yo.
No. You go to the store, you get your pasta, right? And you get some heavy cream, and maybe you get a couple different types of fancy cheeses. If you want to get real fancy with it, you get the block of cheese and you get a grater so you can have it fresh instead of the pre-bagged shredded cheese stuff, right? So you cook your pasta. You want it to be a little al dente because you're going to cook it again in the cream. So you put your cream in the pot. After straining your pasta, you throw that pasta back in the pot with the cream. You dump a bunch of motherfucking cheese in there. And then what you do is you get a baking pan. And after all of the cheese and whatnot is incorporated and everything's nice and melty, you throw all that shit in a baking pan. You put more cheese on top. If you want to put some breadcrumbs or maybe some crispy little onions on top. I'm partial to onions myself, but I can respect some panko as well. You throw that in there. You slam that in there. I don't know, 400 degrees. Whatever. However long it takes. You don't want it to get dry, but you want the cheese on top to melt, and you want the breadcrumbs or onions to brown a little bit. Then you have perfect mac and cheese.
Jay swears up and down that he makes the best mac and cheese.
I will go toe to toe with Jay on mac and cheese.
I 100% believe that you make better mac and cheese. I don't think he makes it. He keeps saying he's good at it. I don't think he makes it.
Now, see,
I
I'm
think
I'm not a
fine.
I'm not a baked mac and cheese guy. Like I'm much more. I'm cool just on the stovetop.
I'm cool with just on the stovetop too, but like if you want to go the extra mile, you want to bake it a little bit. I like those crispy burnt cheese pieces in there around the corners.
My wife makes our mac and cheese, and maybe I'm a little partial, but I think it's amazing. The only problem is she always tries to tweak it, and like you don't need to tweak it every time, right? Like
No.
Gordon Ramsay ain't tweaking beef Wellington every
No,
single
because like he
time he makes
perfected it.
Right. So just it's great. Like you don't have to do anything extra. It's great as it is.
And now I want to make mac
Yo,
and cheese.
Leonardo
Here's the
said
thing.
cra-
Leonardo is a fucking baby.
Well, first of
He's a
all,
child.
Leonardo said craft. He spelled it wrong by spelling it right.
The C. Yeah.
Look, I used to fuck with Kraft mac and cheese when I was an 18-year-old living on my own.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what Leonardo is, a 17-year-old.
Look, I was always a step above Kraft when I was in college, and I would get the Stouffer's mac and cheese. I'm fuck with Kraft.
So Micah, did you know that Gears 5 is about to be infused with the power of positivity?
I just saw that today.
And do you know why, Micah?
Because it's a new day.
Because days in the game. Malcolm says, does the inclusion of his arch rivals, the New Day, want to make you play Gears 5 or nah?
I mean, I kind of want to play as Big E. I kind of want to play as Big E.
I do love that they have the rainbow colored Gears armor. This feels right. That's cool,
Plus,
man. Like I said,
plus, I like Gears, so I would have played it anyway. I have to play it because I have to play Batista. Yeah, that's it. I gotta play Batista in Gears. And now I get to play as Big E. Who don't want to play as Big E in Gears of War?
Yeah.
Apparently Malcolm.
Raman asks, what action movie villains do you think would be great fighting game characters?
I don't watch enough action movies.
I like Carrie's response of show enough. I feel like show enough would be like a Dan type character, but like the strength of Akuma. Like he would be goofy, but like a glass cannon. I would love to see action movie villains.
It's tougher, right? Just because a lot of your action movie villains tend to be of the like smart, planning.
Yeah, they're the Hans Gruber type, you know, like they're not. Hans Gruber's not a fighter, you know what I mean? Like when confronted with the action hero, he threw on a terrible American accent. Like, oh God!
You know what? You know what? My answer is any of the fucking Deadly Vipers from Kill Bill.
Okay, there you go.
Not
I can see
not Michael Madsen's character.
Well, yeah, he really didn't. He was kind of out of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like they would all play pretty differently, and
they would. Bill would probably be like an Akuma style character. Really. If you're gonna do that, that's probably that's a good response. Yeah, like I said, I'm struggling more than I thought I would with this because, like I said, my preferred action movie villains are the Hans Gruber-esque type of characters. Because like I said, you can't have their henchmen be in the game. You can't have the dude that with diplomatic immunity from Lethal Weapon. But Hans is too obscure.
Yeah,
it doesn't work. So. Leonardo says, now that Minecraft has been perfected with the addition of Star Wars DLC, what other games can be perfected by adding Star Wars content to it? Leonardo has an unhealthy obsession.
I'm going to go with Shut Up, Leonardo. That's my answer here.
You know what, Leonardo? There need to be more Star Wars fighting games. There are a few. There are a couple, but I need them in the
ones that
vein of
exist have been terrible, though. Mike.
right. I need them in the vein of like an arena fighter, like a Power Stone or a Jump Force or something like that. That's what I need a Star Wars fighting game to be, because you have to be able to, you're gonna have Jedi in there. You're gonna want to use like Force powers and stuff. And while everyone can't be a Jedi, you get some Mandalorians in there. They got a bunch of jetpacks and ranged equipment that they could use. That's my answer. An arena fighting game.
Fortnite had Star Wars stuff in it, at least a little bit, right? When Episode 9 came out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised they haven't done more.
You had to, because you had to play Fortnite in order to understand why Palpatine was back or some shit.
What?
Yeah, yo, like that was a mess of a movie, man. And like apparently a huge plot point was in Fortnite, and if you didn't get it, then that's part of the reason why you may be a little lost in Episode 9. What a terrible movie that was.
Honestly,
I still have not seen it to this day.
Don't bother.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't plan on it. I don't plan. I heard enough people trash it, be like, you know what? Do I need this? I don't think I need to spend 3 hours of my life being mad at a movie that I'm already going to be mad at.
Yeah.
So, Cam says, finished Miles Morales today and was not prepared for how emotional the ending would make me. I know that we have an idea for where the sequel will go given the after credit sequences in both games, but what other villains would you like to see? And why is the first correct answer Craven?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Craven, period.
Craven would be good because he could be like a persistent threat.
He could show up and fuck you up in the same way that Taskmaster did.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They ran through a lot. I don't know why they didn't put Mysterio in that first game. They gave Scorpion hallucinogenic venom.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, you got a guy who's the master of illusions.
Yep.
Like, you could have just had him, yo. Like, I don't understand it. You could have saved Scorpion for a different game. But I would also like to see some of they put Mr. Negative in the game. Which
and that was cool.
I would like to see more modern.
Yes, I would like
villains.
to see more recent additions. So
everyone thinks that Venom's going to be in it, and they think they know who Venom is, and I mean, yes and no. Like, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like, that dude's sitting in green liquid too, man. You know what I mean? Like, let's not rule, and he was who he was in the comics. So let's not rule out the fact that that dude's best friend could be his arch nemesis.
Yeah.
And Venom is not Spider-Man's arch nemesis. Also, fuck Venom, yo. Like, for real.
Yeah, I don't want to fuck with any of the symbiotes right now. I really don't. It's so played. It's so played out.
Moses asks 2 questions, but we're only going to do one because the second question is, did we finish Miles Morales and what are the notable differences? We talked about it up front. The other question he had was, what's your opinion on the drastic decline of players for the Avengers game? Do you think that part of that problem has to do with the lack of diversity in the game, given the political climate that we are in currently?
No, it's just, it's not good. It's not a good game.
I think that's what it boils down to at the end of
the
day.
Yeah. It's they tried to capitalize on both the big brand name and the fact that people are largely into these looter shooters, but decided to half-ass 2 things instead of whole-assing 1 thing. And as
Ron Swanson.
As Ron Swanson, everyone's icon would tell you, don't do that. So yeah, it's just people bought the game because they were like, ooh, Avengers, and then they played it for 3 minutes and were like, man, it's not good, and they fucking stopped playing it. Yeah, that's what happened.
Like with looters, you have to have
There wasn't a good gameplay loop.
You gotta have a reason to keep logging every week. You can't just throw a campaign at people and people are like, all right, cool. What do you got to have for the campaign? Well, we have these strikes.
It's fucking nothing.
You can do and well, there's like 6 of them, but you're gonna do those 6 over and over and over and over and over again. And we have these danger rooms, and that's a thing, and that's it for now. Wait till a new character comes out, guys. Like even looters that have a much more robust platform like a Destiny still struggle keeping people, a month past, when the new expansion comes out.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of Destiny players that will get the, when the new season starts, they play the new season for 2 weeks, blow through all the content, and then they're like, peace, I'll see you in 3 months. Like that's literally how it goes.
Right. Like not only is there like not an immediate sort of like, oh, here's good post-game content, but the DLC that they planned, which is fucking Hawkeye. Like I like Kate Bishop as much as any other Marvel fan, but Hawkeye. They delayed the DLC. Like it was supposed to come out in October, and then they were like, "Mom, it's not coming out in October." So it's like, why would anyone play it? There's no reason to play.
So
yeah, there's no. Look, I own this game for some reason, and
because
I'm a sucker, yo.
Yes,
I'm a sucker.
You are.
And I would log in just to see what kind of costumes they had. Free costumes. I wasn't giving this movie. I wasn't giving this game anymore because the costumes cost a lot of money. They knocked those down. They knocked them down by half now. So the costumes instead of $14 are now $7.
That's still too much money.
And that's still way too much money.
It should be $2.
That's a whole ass fighting game character, yo. like get out of here, man.
I mean, to be fair, like Assassin's Creed has the same shit in theirs as well. Like there's a bunch of cosmetic stuff. They're like, hey, would you like to buy some Helix credits? I said, no, I will not.
Yeah, no.
So. No. Actually,
but everything you said about that game, Avengers, is right on the money. It's a shame because it's a
who didn't even play it.
right, and it's a shame because it's a fun game to actually play. Like the moment to moment gameplay is fun, but there's only so much of that you can do before it gets old. And you have 6 characters and all, but it's a grind, and it's not a fun grind. Fighting the same generic ass robots over and over again, and that game. I will be surprised if that game makes it a year.
No.
Oh, it'll be out there, but fuck if anyone's playing it. That's the only thing, and that's the other problem too, is that they kind of in some ways shot themselves in the foot when they announced, like as consumer friendly as it is to announce all of our characters will be free. You kind of have to have a way to get people to want to put money back into your game a year later.
Yeah.
Years later, 18 months later, like whatever it is. Yeah. Whatever it is. So, but hey, we'll see. Rashawn says, how long do you think it'll be for us to see some DLC for Miles? Do you think?
Hey, Rashawn, I'm going to let you in on a secret. There's not going to be.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wouldn't imagine.
There's not going to be anything.
I can't imagine.
Maybe an extra couple costumes.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's it. Because this is not meant to be a full sequel. This is meant to be your Uncharted Lost Legacy entry of Insomniac's Spider-Man, right? So I think our next big Spider-Man announcement, which will probably be E3 next year, if they have an E3, or if they do this whatever ends up happening next year. I think next year Insomniac will be like, here's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. That's exactly what this was. It's a holdover. This game, Miles Morales, is about the same length as the City That Never Sleeps, all three parts of that. If you combine all 3 parts of that, you get Miles Morales.
Yeah. They ain't doing DLC for this.
No, I don't think so. And this is to further, as much as this story is a Miles story, it's to further the overall world, and it's, you know, the end of that game, the end credits, like they remind you that like Spider-Man 2 is coming. And that is, I think, what they really want to focus on.
Mhm.
So much so much so that they recast Peter Parker as a different actor. And it takes a bit of getting used to.
Yeah, because like you see him early on, and I was like, "What is Tom Holland doing in this video game?" Look, I mean, if there was going to be Miles DLC, we would have known about it by now, because if I recall correctly, they announced the DLC pack like the week of the original Spider-Man's release, and the DLC started coming out like a month later. I'm actually looking at it. So Spider-Man,
I think you are correct. It
was early September 2018, and the first piece of DLC came out in October. We're not getting DLC.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like you said, it would be nice to see some costumes, some
And
outfits.
I think that's something that would be open to happening, because it's like, all right, give us $5. Here's a costume pack featuring new Miles costumes designed by some of the Marvel artists.
I don't even know if they would charge you for it. I mean, all the other ones they didn't charge. I mean, technically they charged you if you bought the DLC.
Yeah.
But like the remastered version, they gave you 3 costumes.
Right.
And they gave you the Bagman costume and all the Homecoming costumes they gave you. So
yeah,
the Future Foundation one they gave you all
the
that.
Sam Raimi suit too.
The Sam Raimi suit. I love that Sam Raimi suit. That Sam Raimi suit is amazing in that game. So yeah, I don't think we will get any major DLC. And that story was pretty much like, it's exactly what it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I love that game, man. I really love that game. Like I like watching Miles interact with his friends and interact with the people in New York, and it shows the diversity of New York and the people in it, right? Like there's one character from the base Spider-Man game who has like a side quest. There's a deaf character in it. Last time you seen a deaf character in anything that's not specifically about deaf people. Like she's
just there, and she's cool as shit.
She's just there,
and she and Miles have like a cute little crush on each other.
Yeah, yo, like the fact that this kid is going around, like the old man in me is like, you're doing good there, boy. I'm glad to see you. Like, I don't know if you remember those McDonald's commercials with Calvin coming home from working for McDonald's, doing the, because he's on the good foot.
You're talking about the ones that got spoofed by the Whack Arnolds.
Yeah. Like with all the people in that neighborhood, they felt, go ahead, Calvin. Go ahead, young man. You're doing it. Go ahead, young blood.
You ain't that old yet.
I have no memory of this.
I only remember it because
like trying to access the part of my brain that old commercials are stored in. I'm not pulling anything on McDonald's that isn't like something involving Grimace.
I felt playing this game. I felt like one of the characters that's in this game. The guy who refers to Miles as young blood. Yeah, go ahead, young blood. I got you. I got this. You got something else to do. I felt like, go ahead, young blood.
God, you're gonna be your dad when your son is 18.
Not if my wife has anything to say about
it. Henry asks, thoughts on AEW working with Ukes and the executive producer of the Aki Wrestling games. Do you think we'll finally get a true revival of the No Mercy Def Jam Vendetta game engine?
I don't know.
I know that's what everyone wants. I don't know if you'll get it.
I don't know if you really want it, honestly.
I don't know if
you view those games through nostalgia goggles.
Those games are slow,
they are
man.
very
like
slow.
They are very methodical. They're like a Randy Orton match. You know what I mean? Like they take their time. You know what I mean? Whereas you're right. I don't know if people would necessarily want that. Like, I don't know.
And here's the other problem too. So the reason that those games, particularly the N64 wrestling games are so beloved, is not only because the games were fun, but because wrestling was what it was back in that time period. And I think that we link the two subconsciously in our heads, and that's what gives us the great feelings about it, because it reminds us of that era of professional wrestling as well. And I just don't think that a new game, especially if it's AEW, which is not going to be as known by a lot of folks, is going to just be able to like harness that same magic that like Revenge and No Mercy did back in the day.
I understand that the folks over at AEW are very excited, but I would not have shown anything.
No, not with what they did show. I would not.
No, I would have.
Very impressive.
If you just want to make an announcement that AEW Games exists, that's fine. But I think you jumped before the gun went off. You got to polish that thing up a bit. But we'll see.
Finally, Amon asks, thoughts on WWE demanding their superstars to cease and desist their third-party monetizations, like Twitch, Cameo, and the like. So for those of you who missed it, Zelina Vega, a WWE wrestler, was fired by WWE this week, or last week, rather. And it was confirmed that it was done for breach of contract, because WWE basically made wrestlers take down all of their Twitch channels and Cameo things, and she was also doing like an OnlyFans as well. Not like a nude one, just a regular.
But you know what?
Yeah,
that's where my mind goes.
I know. And she didn't, and that's why they fired her, because she did not acquiesce to that demand. I really do think that she will be remembered throughout all this as, kind of not a pioneer is not the right word I'm looking for, but someone that will be remembered for taking a stand, because now that she has done this, it's gotten a lot more awareness and attention on the problem. SAG-AFTRA is considering opening themselves up to WWE wrestlers and the union. So now you don't have to worry about WWE wrestlers forming their own union. They'll have the power of the entertainment union that's already established potentially behind them to do this. And it's going to get really fucking interesting. Because Vince McMahon is not going to just lay down. He would fight that if the wrestlers try to unionize. It would result in a lot more casualties in terms of people losing their jobs, I'm sure. But it seems more possible now than it has at any point prior. And it would be hugely important to do that, because again, this situation with WWE really does piss me off a lot. This isn't your normal like corporate bullshit, and there's a lot of dumb corporate bullshit that WWE has covered up or excused or just kind of let fall by the wayside. That's hard to ignore. But in this case, like, you're literally telling people who you claim are independent contractors, who you claim that so that you don't have to provide them with health insurance, and you don't have to provide them with, retirement benefits and things of that nature. But then to turn around and leverage their employment in your company and say, oh, you can't do these things outside of this company because, you're WWE talent. Well, no, you told me I'm an independent contractor, so I'm independently contracting myself to also do this other stuff. No, you can't.
Yeah.
Because you're using your, and even the folks that would stop, they're like, all right, I'm using my WWE personality, I'm going to stop doing that, I'll go by my real name, this, that, the other thing. No, that still wasn't enough. And that's fucked up. And like I said, it's the Vince McMahon fucked himself in this case by coming down on this as hard as he did. And it's only because he saw a revenue stream that those guys were tapping into. And again, it's the Vince McMahon thing was, oh, I don't want to do this because I'm worried that if this is popular for them, they won't need me as badly.
Right.
So, and that's really what it boils down to, is he just wanted leverage over over their careers. And
It's reported that Zelina Vega was making more on her outside ventures than what she was making in wrestling right now. That's a fucking problem, yo. That's a real problem.
Either that, her Twitch and OnlyFans was just incredibly successful.
Oh, a little bit of both.
Right. It's probably both because she's a gamer and a cosplayer and stuff like that. So she's in that community and stuff like that. And I mean, let's face it, yo, like Zelina Vega is not the most well-known of professional wrestlers. Like she's not like people aren't buying tickets to see Zelina Vega. So it's more off of her personality through her other ventures that she's making all this money. And that WWE was like, nah, you gotta give us a percentage of that. Not even a percentage. You gotta give us a majority of it.
It even went from that. That was the original plan, and then they're just like, nah, just fucking shut it down.
Oh, just shut it.
Yeah, they just shut it down. Yeah, they were just like, you can't do it. So
yeah, I don't, because on the one hand they could use the excuse of, well, you represent the WWE brand, but on the other hand, do you think they're gonna, well, consciously wreck their brand?
Yeah.
Like what does Austin Creed do?
Well, see, but Up, Down, Down is facilitated and through the WWE.
But it wasn't always, was it?
I think he came to them and talked them into letting him do it, essentially. But I believe that trademark is owned by them. Pretty sure.
Wow. I mean, it would make sense because he has a bunch of wrestlers
in it now. From like YouTube revenue that he gets from that kind of thing. So,
well, good luck with his trying to be a G4 host.
Yeah, but isn't gonna fucking happen. Get the fuck right out of here. No, I think that you remember Zelina Vega's name because of what's going to happen with this. And again, like Vince McMahon has no room to be this much of a dick about it because much like every other fucking rich person, he's made out like gangbusters during the entirety of COVID because now his shows are still being produced at the same rate that they were. He's still getting the same money from his TV contracts that he normally would, except now their travel budget is pretty much out of the window. They don't have to worry about maintaining a ring crew and an arena crew the same way that they do nowadays, because you're literally running out of the same arena or the same two arenas every fucking week and not tearing the set down and rebuilding it and doing all this other stuff. So all of your production costs are in the fucking tank right now.
They're literally making record profits right now.
You're making the same money.
Record profits. Jesus, dude.
It's insane. It's insane, but you're going to nickel and dime your talent for wanting to stream video games on Twitch. Get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here. It's stupid. And someone made the point, they're like, oh, you're upset about this, but you weren't upset about, the sexual, accusations against some of the wrestlers. And I get that mindset, but at the same time, like every fucking big ass corporation on the planet does that, like, look the other way as much as possible or try to distance yourself bullshit.
Right.
Like this stuff is a different arena. Not that it's better or worse. Like, obviously I'm not going to fucking play that game, but this is petty. This is petty bullshit with their talent. And that drives me up the fucking wall. Can't stand that shit.
Right. Yeah. The talent who, if they're not there, you don't have a product.
Right.
I don't.
And again, people, this is why I follow AEW, dude. Fucking Cody Rhodes and his.
They do the same thing, yo. Like they do the same thing. They're just not like loud about it. Like people, it's people. It's just that John Oliver didn't do a piece on AEW.
Right. Again, like you said, Cody Rhodes loves to talk about, unionization should be great. And they're like, why not AEW? Well, yeah.
Right. Somebody brought it up to him and he was like, well, that's something that we'll think about sometime in the future. Like, all right, yo. All right.
Well, that's it for the Post Office this week. Thank you guys very much for submitting your questions. Again, you can do the same by going to densepixels.com/fans, joining the Dense Pixels fan group. Lots of fun conversation happening in there every single day. Make sure you subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you get podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/densepixels. And then follow us on Twitch. Carrie is Suppets Carrie, Terrence is Apparition410, and I am Dense Pixels Brad, who may stream PS5 point stuff at some point. My Elgato can get.
Quick note, since I have completed Extra Life, I do want to thank everyone who donated. I had a goal of just $500 this year, which was lower than my goal for last year. Which last year my goal I think was $750. But I raised more money this year than I have in any of my previous years.
Awesome.
I raised a total of $834 for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center in Baltimore. So thank you very, very much to everyone who donated in support of my Extra Life. That's very cool of everyone. And a separate aside, we are less than a month away now from the debut of the Baltimore Gamer Symphony Orchestra's online concert called Beyond the Screen. That is December 16th. So please head to facebook.com/BaltimoreGSO for more information on that. Playing some motherfucking video game music that I arranged.
And you can watch it from the comfort of your own home.
Exactly. The whole thing's going to premiere on YouTube. So.
Well, that's it for this week. Thank you guys very much for watching and listening. We'll see you all next time.
Thanks.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.